So, it's another MGSV challenge, and this one came straight out of the box HQ. There are all kinds of different exciting things out there for Snaky Boy to do. However, today's challenge doesn't involve our beloved body double.
What? Snake, talk to me! Snake! Snake!
Challenge accepted.
Nope. Today's challenge involves using buddies only to complete important objectives, just with a little guidance from Snake. Now, Snake isn't allowed to use any weapons of his own, apart from non-lethal support items like smoke grenades or a magazine to distract guards. The task is at hand, and it's pretty straightforward. We're going to try and complete the game using buddies only. First up, we've got D-Dog, the loyalest friend you could ever ask for in battle. Next, there's D-Horse. Need to get somewhere fast? He's basically your taxi. Then, there's Quiet. Need a silent but deadly crack shot? She's your girl. And finally, we've got Huey's little wind-up toy, D-Walker, blowing the shit out of stuff since 1984. A slight disclaimer before we jump into this challenge, these missions won't be available to buddies given the rules and stipulations, and yeah, some of these missions don't even allow us to use buddies at all, so we'll work around that and focus on the ones where we can actually bring them along. Anyway, let's do this! First up, we're diving into episode 3, A Hero's Way. The objective? Eliminate or capture the Spetsnaz commander. Now, his 3 trainees are supposed to meet up with him whilst he explains the entire Metal Gear Solid lore, which, let's be honest, gives us plenty of time to make our move. The rules are clear, we can't use any weapons apart from support items, and getting spotted is definitely not an option. So D-Dog's job is to secure the target, but it seems he's got a little carried away, and took the meaning of extract a bit too seriously.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us. Secured.
Since we start the mission with a buddy, the rules state that in some cases we also have to exfiltrate with buddies. Basically, we have to complete the objective and leave the objective with the buddy. So what better way for a quick getaway than using D-Horse? It's a perfect choice. All I can say is, mission complete. Up next is Episode 4, CTW. The mission, destroy the comms equipment at the Eastern Communications Post. Why? Because apparently these Soviet soldiers have been prank calling each other and chatting up call girls. There's meant to be 3 in total, so it shouldn't be too hard. Now, since we can't exactly destroy the equipment ourselves, there's one buddy who's perfect for the job, D-Walker. A few missiles from our trusty wind-up war machine should definitely do the trick. Boom! Just like that. We didn't even need to get our hands dirty, and the beauty of it all is we didn't even get spotted. Mission complete.
Made it out of the hot zone. No sign of the enemy. Mission complete, boss.
Now we're on to Episode 5, Over the Fence. Snake's on a very important mission. He needs to expand his collection of bionic arms. This time we're after a very specific one, the Nintendo Wii Edition.
Eat this!
Nice shot!
Forgive me.
That's the game.
So just before we go inside, we deal with this soldier, but we do eventually find the bionic engineer we're after. But of course, like a fool, I forgot to bring my wormhole Fultons. So instead, I decided to bring him to the surface and let D-Dog work his magic. Now all our furry little friend needs to do is try not to Fulton extract every single soldier here and just the target. And of course, like an absolute pro, I make a quick getaway on time home for dinner. Mission complete, baby.
No sign of the enemy. Mission complete, boss.
What?
Rest in peace this time.
Damn it, they're everywhere.
Episode 6, Where Did the Bees Sleep? Now we can't exactly use a buddy to extract the honeybee missile launcher. Bummer, I know. But that doesn't mean we can't make a good use of a buddy in this mission. Since Snake isn't allowed to engage with the skulls, we brought in a really cool girl who's perfect for the job. Quiet. She's got all the intel on the skulls and knows exactly how to deal with them. Thankfully, these guys are the easy kind, and Quiet really has no trouble making short work of them. She can literally one headshot these guys. And of course, we couldn't exfiltrate with a buddy this time around, but hey, we still put Quiet to great use. Mission accomplished. Episode 7, Red Brass. The three commanders of the Soviet Union are holding an emergency meeting at Wylaw Village, but unfortunately for them, one of the commanders won't be making it there in time. Knowing Afghanistan like the back of his hand, Venom already knew the route of the incoming jeep carrying one of the commanders. That's where D-Horse comes in, who let's just say was absolutely bursting for a big old shit.
Come on.
Excuse me.
Thankfully, D-Horse's poop came in very handy, spinning the commander and his friends out of control. With the chaos in full swing, I decided the best protocol was to call in Quiet for her services. One of the Red Brass members was stuck in the jeep, just stunned from the commotion. Amazingly, just as they were about to drive off once they'd recovered, Quiet swooped in and tranquilized our target, dropping him to the floor like a pro. Of course, at that point, I had to rely on D-Doc's services and use his trusty filtering skills to wrap things up.
Arrived.
Go get him.
The map has been updated.
Fulton him.
The map has been...
It's not over yet, dear brother. That was my terrible Liquid impression, but there still are 2 more commanders to either eliminate or extract. That means we need to head into the town of Wylaw and infiltrate with extra caution. This place is heavily guarded. It's also worth reminding you, I'm not using any markers like some of these noobs do in their challenges. So yeah, any guard could unexpectedly show up and turn the mission into a total nightmare. Thankfully, I managed to sneak into their meeting point without a hitch. A little bit of good old CQC later, one of the commanders was disarmed, well, in fact both of them, and ready for D-Dog to swoop in with his Fultoning skills. I'd say this is yet another mission success. What do you reckon, boss?
Traded.
Alright, you're out of the hot zone. No enemy forces in pursuit. Mission complete.
Episode 8, Occupational Forces. The mission, eliminate the colonel who's been reassigned from the Sakirati village to the Samasi fort and to stop the tanks from redeploying to the fort. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, they're currently en route, but little do they know, Snaky Boy has a wonderful surprise waiting for them. You know what? I kinda like the D-Walker. Sure, it's a stupid looking metal trolley on wheels with terrible armour, but it's got this weird charming quality. As far as old technology goes, it's almost endearing. It reminds me of those massive old TVs we used to have, you know, the ones without the HDMI cables, the red, white and yellow, and when the screen started distorting, all you had to do was give it a nice whack on top, and boom, the problem was solved. Simpler times. Anyway, back to business. The commander's been dealt with, and the tanks, well, they were easy enough to destroy. I had to send D-Walker back to base though to reload the missiles. That thing runs out of ammo faster than I run out of patience for Soviet patrols. Still, the missiles fired from quite a distance, and best of all, I didn't even get alerted. Mission complete!
Mission complete.
Back down! Tell me what you're gonna do now! It's episode 9, and this one is well self-explanatory if you've already played it a few times. We have to destroy several armoured vehicles, but of course, I can't do that with a missile launcher, but I can do that with the Gear Walker.
Target elimination confirmed. Got any more in you?
So as you probably know, this mission also has an objective to extract a prisoner in a 4-wheel drive, but here's the thing, you don't actually have to do that. The main goal is to simply just destroy as many armoured vehicles as possible. As you can imagine, this played out a lot like before. Step 1, get D-Horse to shit on the floor and skid out the Jeep. Step 2, call Quiet to snipe them to sleep, and Step 3, let D-Dog swoop in and Fulton them back to base. And with that being said, with only 2 more armoured vehicles left to destroy, Miller finally gave the official word that our mission was complete, and with that, we're all set on to move to the next episode.
The enemy reinforcements have stopped.
Updated.
No targets remaining. Boss, exfiltrate the hot zone.
Episode 10, Angel with Broken Wings. Our mission, extract Malik, the Mujahideen prisoner being held at Lamar Kahit Palace. Now let me tell you, this mission was probably one of the hardest I've ever done in terms of relying on the buddies to pull it off. See, Malik is in a 4-wheel Jeep, parked right outside in the open, and surrounded by several Soviet soldiers. So making an approach? Yeah, that's easier said than done. Thankfully we've got Quiet perched up high with a silent sniper, ready for action. At first I thought, hey, maybe we could just make a break for it and rescue Malik right here and now. Big mistake. So yeah, that didn't end too well, so I had to switch up my game plan. This meant tailing the Jeep as it made its way to an outpost, and eventually to Yakuho Obo Supply Outpost. Here's the real challenge. Sneaking into that heavily guarded base without being spotted. Malik's being held deep inside, and the outpost itself not exactly generous with hiding spots. So I had to sneak even deeper into the heart of the base where Malik was being held hostage. It was pretty clear he was on the verge of getting executed, so speed was of the essence. I had to get inside as quickly and as quietly as possible. Luckily there wasn't any guard stationed directly around Malik, which gave me the perfect opportunity to grab him and pull him to safety without much hassle. Even better, the soldiers that Quiet had taken outside remained unnoticed, meaning no unexpected alarms went off. It's fair to say that this mission was a success, and the buddies, they played a huge role in getting it done smoothly. Mission complete. Episode 11, Cloaked in Silence. The objective, eliminate Quiet. Now let's be real for a second, this kinda feels massively counterproductive, since she's literally one of the buddies helping us with this entire challenge. But hey, orders are orders, and we've got no choice but to take her out. So I thought to myself, why not handle this in the least honourable way possible? So I decided to use D-Walker. D-Walker, let's be honest, was useless at best. Sure, one-time intercept mode actually worked, but most of the time this metal trolley couldn't even find its own shoelaces, let alone Quiet.
Intercept mode.
Since D-Walker doesn't have a clue where he's looking, with a little bit of guidance I pointed D-Walker in the right direction, using the missile launcher that eventually brought Quiet down, but definitely not out, because let's be honest, we can't go killing her now, she's literally an essential piece to the challenge. Snake, what have you done? You've gone and created a time paradox. Oh well, fuck bitch. Episode 10, Hellbound. It is as what the title describes. Rescue and extract Huey Emmerich. Yes, this guy. This is one mission I think a lot of us would rather skip and just leave Huey to be tormented by Skullface, but it's a part of the objective, so why not? Sneaking into the central base camp is no walk in the park. As you know, Gearwalker patrols, a helicopter flies around, and there's plenty of soldiers to avoid. If you know exactly what building you're looking for, you can get this mission completed pretty quick. So there isn't really much usage for the buddies here, truth be told, but as long as we can use a buddy in the mission, it still counts for the challenge. Anyway, once inside the base camp, we need to escort Huey out, but instead of using his whack-ass Gearwalker with no upgrades, we'll use ours. And with that, we make our way outside the base camp, avoiding the Sahelanthropus. And I'd say, well, that's a mission that was fairly successful. Episode 14, Lingua Franca.
Sans lingua franca, the world will be told, son.
The mission is to tell the African interpreter working with the interrogator at Kaziba camp, and rescue the British prisoner known as the Viscount. Man, I'm British myself, and even I can't stand British people. Yes, we've skipped episode 13, Pitch Dark, because it doesn't require us to use a buddy at all, so just deal with it. And not to brag, but because I played MGS5 1,000 times, I already know the location of the Viscount, which means there's no point in playing Tail the Interpreter. It's all about completing that mission as quickly as possible. And since this is an extraction mission, we are going to be using the Fulton balloon, but of course D-Dog will have the honours of doing so.
Target extraction confirmed. Get yourself out of the hot zone, by chopper or by land. Mission complete, boss.
Episode 15, Footprints of Phantoms. We have to eliminate all the walker gears deployed at Detadi Abandoned Village. Since all these Metal Gear derivatives are becoming all the rage these days, it seems like anyone can buy a Metal Gear on the black market. This mission was really fun. I got to blow up other Metal Gears for GMP. It would have been nice to Fulton them and add them to the collection, but D-Dog doesn't Fulton vehicles last time I checked. Although D-Walker does have a Fulton device called the F-Ballista, which is kinda like a Fulton catapult capable of extracting big containers and vehicles. Well, I didn't use it, truth be told, because I'm following the anti-war ideology, so having no weapons makes the world a safer place. But then again, ironically, it doesn't at the same time. Episode 16, Traitor's Caravan. The objective here is to intercept a convoy transporting something sinister, a shipment of yellow cake, the key material for destruction on a massive scale. Thankfully, we don't need to track down the transport starting point, we already know it's stationed at Nova Braga Airport. Now, instead of going through the heavily guarded front entrance, there's a sneaky shortcut via the back. But of course, it's never that simple. The truck is obviously being protected by a special unit of skulls, making the mission far more challenging. Peace Walker truly has been the MVP of this operation. I mean, this weapon to me just seemed like an overrated bag of trash, but honestly, it really works out quite well. With all its firepower at my disposal, I literally turned those skulls into dust using the missile launcher, and it even has like somewhat of a machete tool that you can use as well if you want to get close and personal. Put it this way, I blasted those bitches straight to Kingdom Come. All the upgrades definitely make it feel worth it to use. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not exactly Battle Gear and what could have been. I mean, we literally could have been piloting around a huge Metal Gear, but still, it feels like it does the job. I mean, you can literally even have dual-wielded handguns and dual-wielded Uzis on this thing. It kinda wrecks. At the very final part of the boss fight, if you could call it that, I used quiet to put down the final skull. I just thought since she has expertise in sniping, it made sense. And since the objective is to extract the cargo truck and to complete the mission with the buddy only, it made sense using the gear walker with its Fultoning capabilities. I'd say that this is another win for the boss. Episode 17, Rescue the Intel Agents. Next we need to rescue 2 Diamond Dog Intel Agents who have unfortunately been captured and are at the mercy of the enemy. But little do they know, a badass mercenary is on his way to save his men. This mission is no walk in the park. The enemies are actively patrolling the area, hunting for anyone trying to interfere, and to try and find the intel agents themselves. It's turned into a real pain with a lot of crawling to avoid detection due to the sheer number of guards on watch. Of course, I couldn't extract the agents myself, but that's where D-Dog came in. His Fultoning skills allowed me to maintain a safe distance from the enemy while staying in cover. I could have used D-Walker, but let's be honest, it stands out like a sore thumb in a stealth op, and there isn't really many places to hide. Thanks to D-Dog though, the mission was a success. Another win for the Diamond Dog's crew back at Mother Base. Although with that being said, with the last intel agent who was unfortunately a bit too injured, so I could put him on the back of D-Horse and ride off out of the actual mission area and it would still count as a mission success. Episode 18, Blood Runs Deep. The client wants us to eliminate 6 children in Kukenga Mine. Of course, that isn't going to happen. We're bringing them back to base. And who knows, these kids might become the next best YouTubers or Twitch streamers someday. Typically, the first step would be to eliminate the rebel commander at a separate camp. But I wanted to tackle the hard part first, which means sneaking into the mine undetected to rescue the kids. Because I love a challenge, so I skipped the wormhole extraction and decided to make things way more interesting. So after the kids showed me their really cool diamond collection that I could use for my prosthetic hands, I led the kids outside to be Fulton extracted by balloon, because it's way more fun for them than being teleported into a black hole. I mean, yes, I kinda had to kick them to knock them out, but once they were safely out of harm's way, I could then shift my focus to the rebel commander at the different encampment. Now, usually I do just extract enemies, but this time I wanted to test D-Dog's lethal knife skills. Let's just say that all the time Ocelot trained this dog is really well paid off because he's an absolute killer. Episode 19, On the Trail. The commander of a PF known as the Major has been spreading rumours about selling nuclear weapons. Naughty naughty. But our mission is to tail his subordinate and eliminate the Major, but since I already know the meeting point, there's no need to waste time. This mission is interesting because you have 2 choices, either eliminate the Major or extract him. Of course, the extracting part is a lot more difficult. The real challenge, however, lies in the fact that he's constantly surrounded by a squad of soldiers who stick very close to him. Using D-Dog would be risky, getting him killed is definitely not an option, and D-Walker's missiles, well, they'd cause way too many casualties, turning the operation into a bloodbath when the target is just the Major. Then it hit me, Quiet was the perfect choice for this mission. Not just because she could tranquilize the guards, creating an opening to extract the Major, but because her sniper fire could lure the soldiers away from my position. That's why Quiet shines in missions like these, and quite frankly, not many people appreciate this aspect of her character. Sometimes you need to get close, and she's a pro at drawing attention elsewhere. With the squad distracted and pulled away, I had the perfect opportunity to snatch the Major, and D-Dog swooped in for the extraction. And just like that, mission complete. Another solid win for Diamond Dogs. Episode 20 is Voices, and we have to rescue Shabani, the leader of the boys forced to work at the mine. He's been taken to Ngumba Industrial Zone, the place the locals call the Devil's House. This mission is easily one of the best in the game. It gives MGS5 that horror vibe, almost like it's channeling Silent Hill, which makes sense considering the game's connections with PT. Getting to this house of horrors takes a bit of time, but it's straightforward enough. The toughest part is sneaking through the enemy compound, while the rest of the journey is mostly open space. Eventually you reach a checkpoint gate, but you can bypass it by climbing the hill and hopping the fence without any trouble. By the time I made it into the eerie Silent Hill fog-ridden training camp, I nearly jumped out my skin when a wild dog lunged at me out of nowhere. It set the mood perfectly for what came next. When you finally enter the Devil's House, it's just as horrifying as you'd expect. A room full of bodies with headphones stuck within them. Whatever they're listening to, the music must be quite the track, because even Venom can't resist taking a listen. And then, as expected, everything goes to hell. The man on fire shows up chasing us down, and to make things worse, I can't use any weapons. But unfortunately, I can't even outfit D-Walker with any water miniguns, practically the only thing capable of stopping him. But instead, I had to improvise using D-Walker's missiles, and I targeted the water tanks, blowing them down and extinguishing him temporarily. With that, I made my escape, and therefore, mission complete. Episode 21, The War Economy. Practically the entire Metal Gear universe thrives on this concept. People making a living off the suffering of others. But then again, that's not far off from how the real world works, is it? The objective here is to eliminate the CFA official stationed at Nova Braga Airport. He's due to conduct an inspection alongside a visiting arms dealer. Naturally, the suit-wearing official isn't the main focus here, it's the arms dealer. The real challenge is figuring out how to take advantage of the situation. The place is crawling with snipers and a few people on gear walkers, making this mission practically perfect for a long-range assassination. So, who else am I going to call? Not Ghostbusters, I'm going to call Quiet. Sneaking into position was easy enough, aside from the occasional annoyance of a sniper tagging me with their laser. Eventually I made it onto a roof of a hangar, perfectly overlooking a spot where the CFA official and the arms dealer were scheduled to meet, or eventually would come out from their hiding place, perfect for a shot. Here's where things got tricky though. Quiet's AI decided to be uncooperative, should we say. Every time I placed her in an ideal sniping position, she'd randomly jump to another less effective spot within a minute. No matter how many times I ordered her back to the perfect vantage point, she'd move again. This literally cost me precious time, and even worse, she missed 2 critical shots on the official because of her repositioning, costing me the mission. So I had to get creative. Using the iDroid, I disbanded her from the location and reassigned her within 1 minute window. Timing became everything. Just as the official stepped out, I made sure Quiet was in place, and finally she took the shot, putting him down.
That's the target.
Has been updated.
Good. You completed the objective. Now get out of there.
Episode 23, The White Mamba. This mission involves us extracting none other than Liquid Snake himself from his absolutely awful slum. This place is a total mess, littered with pig heads and beer bottles everywhere, a fitting lair for someone just like him. The mission was super fun and even a bit experimental. Normally when you sneak onto his broken boat, the game triggers a cutscene with Liquid. But as some of you may know, if you sneak aboard the back entrance, you can skip the cutscene entirely. This makes a big difference because if Liquid is fully alert, you can't put him down right away, forcing you into a short but intense battle. I've tried dealing with him using Quiet before, but Liquid's no fool. He stayed indoors most of the time when Quiet was shooting, making it difficult to get a clean shot. However, there's a sneaky way to catch him off guard by using a little distraction. One shot later, he was out cold and the mission was good as done.
All you need to do is carry him to the LZ. Your objective is to rescue the 2 targets. Counting on you, boss.
Episode 24, Close Contact. Rescue the 2 civilian engineers, 1 male and 1 female, being held at Ngumba Industrial Zone. This mission felt like a race against time, as 2 commanders were set to arrive in a jeep to come and collect these guys, adding an extra layer of pressure. I had to move fast and bust the engineers out of the tent, which was surrounded by guards. After a few failed attempts, I finally nailed it by carefully using my smoke grenades to disorientate the guards, which the area itself became clouded, which really helped. I managed to sneak in and get the engineers out of there, leaving it to D-Dog to handle their extraction. Of course, I had to stay on my belly the entire time. One wrong move and I'd have been spotted, which could have blown the entire operation, but with patience and precise timing, the mission was a success.
Operations.
Episode 25, Aimed True, Ye Vengeful. In this mission, a group of child soldiers who've broken away from the Membele rebels have abducted their XO. My objective is to extract the commander, who apparently has some serious sibling issues, and rescue his understandably so-called terrified brother. Who'd ever thought that hogging the TV remote for too long could lead to such a mess? D-Dog handled Fultoning the young commander, but when it came to the actual older brother, we couldn't risk using the Fulton. Instead, I relied on a buddy such as D-Horse to help us leave the mission area safely. Sibling drama aside, the mission went smoothly and both were extracted successfully. Another operation wrapped up.
Find a route. Find a man.
Episode 26, Hunting Down. The objective is clear: eliminate a human trafficker on the run across the savannah. Little does he know that tracking is Big Boss's speciality. The predator has become the prey, and now it's time to send his ass and traffic him to the afterlife. This mission can be quite challenging because you don't know the exact location of the trafficker. You've got to do some digging yourself, but with a sharp eye and using the scope and the photo to ID him, tracking him down becomes a lot easier. Of course, I can't complete the mission without a buddy, so I called in Quiet for this one. As usual, she landed right on point with the target eliminated, and therefore the mission completed.
Infiltrated.
Alright, you're out of the hot zone.
Episode 27, Root Cause. This mission was to rescue the intel member who holds critical information on the epidemic that has been ravaging Mother Base. This guy is priority number 1, and he's essentially the key to the cure, and we need to find him before the enemy does. This one was fairly simple. The key was locating his position and getting to him before any harm could come his way. Using D-Horse was a great choice, and it allowed for fast infiltration. By hanging off the side of him whilst he sprinted, I could stay hidden and move more quickly. Upon arriving at the building where he was located, it seemed like he had done more damage to the enemies than they had done to him. Following the blood trail led me to the truck where he attempted to make an escape. I managed to jump in the back just in time, but instead of driving away, he decided to throw himself out of the cockpit, which was pretty useful for us. Unfortunately, he was too injured for a Fulton extraction with D-Dog, so I used D-Horse to make our escape, and therefore another mission was complete. Episode 28, Codetalker. The mission is to extract Codetalker, the elderly man who holds the key to treating the pathogen affecting Mother Base. For those of you who played this mission, you probably loved the mansion's epic layout and the challenge of the stealth mechanics. and you probably also use quiet to help you take down the skulls if that's what you decided to do. Well, that's exactly what I did. Now, truth be told, I could have made this mission easier by avoiding the sniper skull units, which would have made exfiltrating with Codetalker a lot smoother. But where's the fun in that? This mission was a lot more challenging than it appears. For example, when deploying Quiet to take out the skulls, you can't just rely on her for cover fire. If you do, the skulls will just absolutely wreck her. So sending her back to base is not an option. So I had to mark the enemy positions with the scope and carefully reposition Quiet to the best sniping spots. Usually when she fires on a squad, another fires right back at her. So to avoid losing her and having to wait forever to get her back, I'd send her back to base, recalling her in to reset her health. After an intense showdown, Quiet managed to take down all of the skulls. But the next part was just as challenging, if not more. After dealing with the skulls, a special alert gets triggered, putting the soldiers on high alert and making sneaking into the mansion way more trickier. Fortunately, with D-Dog's help, I was able to slip inside and grab Codetalker. The hardest part now was escaping.
Protect the target. If he dies, Motherface dies with him.
Since I killed the skulls, the usual brain-dead zombies that are usually around, making it easier to escape, are no longer there. But instead they are hunting parties and armoured vehicles, just lying in wait for us. But like a boss, I managed to slip past them and managed to remain completely undetected. Of course, I couldn't use the helicopters to escape, so I used D-Horse to actually make our way out with Codetalker on the back. Yes, this guy's definitely getting a little too old for this shit, but rules and regulations are a must in this challenge. Episode 29, Metallic Archaea. Oh boy, this mission brings back some bad memories, another helicopter crash, and the PTSD that comes with it. Now before you wonder why the hell I'm using D-Walker against the skulls with Metallic Archaea, yeah, everything it touches just turns to rust. I know, it's completely illogical, and you guys would be right. D-Walker quickly becomes useless because it was rendered completely useless, just like the rest of the stuff affected by Metallic Archaea. So I had to change my tactics. So there's a specific spot at the airport that seems to bug the skulls out, a coding error that Konami never patched. I'll let you see it for yourself.
What?
I tried switching between using Quiet and D-Walker, but soon realised that D-Walker wasn't doing anything special. The skulls were too heavily armoured and it wasn't even touching them. That's when it hit me that Quiet really was the ultimate choice for dealing with them. All I had to do was keep the skulls busy whilst Quiet did her thing. Mission complete. Episode 30, Skullface, by far one of the most controversial missions in the Metal Gear Solid series.
Wouldn't you agree?
With its mixed reaction to its narrative direction, but while the storytelling in this mission sparked debate, there's no denying it features an epic stealth infiltration setup. So the question is, what are we really doing here with a buddy, given that the mission doesn't necessarily really require one? The core objective is sneaking past XOF soldiers until you reach Skullface, leading to what many consider an underwhelming moment, a painfully awkward jeep ride instead of an epic boss battle. Truth be told, I was tempted to skip this mission altogether, but then I thought, why not turn it into a challenge? Instead of sticking to a pure stealth mission, I decided to mix it up, and my plan was to make it through Oki B0, heavily guarded base, using either D-Horse or D-Walker while triggering full alerts. The challenge? Survive the onslaught and reach the end without dying. And trust me, it was a lot harder than it appeared. It was surprisingly actually a fun challenge, charging head-on through waves of enemies whilst evading heavy fire, and alarms completely changed the pace of the mission. Sure, it wasn't exactly what Kojima probably envisioned, but the game actually is designed to give us nothing but freedom. but tuning the narrative into a full high-stakes action sequence made the entire experience actually far much more enjoyable. Mission complete, and honestly not half bad.
Stop Sahelanthropus. Destroy that thing.
Episode 31, Sahelanthropus. So here we go, no overpowered weapons allowed, and normally you'd grab a high-powered rocket launcher and make short work of this towering metal gear, but not this time. Instead, I decided to take a more unconventional approach, leaning on D-Walker for the fight. Why? It made sense. D-Walker comes equipped with a lock-on missile launcher, albeit one with limited damage and ammo. Managing the lack of rockets wasn't as painful as you'd think, because having to redeploy the Gearwalker was just like calling in for supply drops, you have to wait regardless. This battle does come in stages, as you probably know. Sahelanthropus is either unloading its Gatling guns, blasting you with lock-on missiles, or if you're unlucky enough to get close, torching you with its flamethrower, appendage. D-Walker's mobility made it incredibly useful for dodging these attacks, with its wheels allowing for quick maneuvers. But the real nightmare was trying to get Pequod to just go home. No matter how many times I dismissed the chopper, he refused to leave, until he found out the hard way.
Shot down the chopper. Already a backup chopper. Call it from your iDroid.
Please select a drop point.
Quiet even made a brief appearance, but after realising her sniper shots were doing nothing, I accepted that D-Walker was the best option to take this beast down. Things got intense towards the end when Sahelanthropus entered reflex mode thanks to Psycho Mantis, sending it into a railgun frenzy. The D-Walker's dual pistols turned out to be a lifesaver here, or even if you've got missiles left, but chances are you probably haven't. Preventing the Metal Gear from launching is devastating. One of its hit attacks is key here. Timing was everything. Making sure I had enough rockets ready before it attempted those massive strikes was critical. Hiding when necessary and managing ammo carefully became the best strategy. After a long nerve-wracking fight, I was surprised to find it only took me 15 minutes in real time to bring this behemoth down. Episode 32, To Know Too Much. A Soviet soldier who had been collaborating with the CIA has gone missing, and it's really up to us to extract them all. Honestly, this has to be one of the easiest missions in the game thus far. I hopped on D-Horse and made my way across the sandy hilltops of Afghanistan to the target's location. The real challenge here is timing. You've got a small window before the search team and the Soviet assassin discovers the mole and tries to, well, assassinate him. Thankfully, D-Dog made locating him a breeze, and once I found this guy, it was a simple matter of Fultoning him to safety and of course riding off into the sunset with D-Horse before anybody noticed. Quick, clean, and done in no time. Episode 41, Proxy War Without End. This will be the last mission where I use buddies, mainly because I'm not interested in repeating the same missions with minor variations just to pad out the game. That's also including a quiet exit where you actually can't use any other buddies, and well, really quiet just gives you sniper fire and you can't progress without destroying the armoured vehicles. With those challenges are fine for some, my goal was to complete missions where buddies could meaningfully contribute, and we've definitely done that here. The objective here now is to eliminate the CFA armoured column assembling north of Nova Braga Airport. The column includes several large-scale fighting vehicles, and at first I thought this would be a breeze. The initial armoured vehicles were straightforward, enough to destroy, including the tank, which didn't require many rockets. However, the stout IVF cranked up the difficulty because it took way more damage to destroy than I expected. But reloading the D-Walker before the encounter kept me prepared. The real challenge came with the M84A Magaloader tank in silver. This thing was an absolute monster. No matter how many rockets I fired, it barely took a dent. I had to reload the D-Walker 5 times just to keep up with the damage output, and every time it fired its cannon, it was an instant death. Let's just say persistence paid off, but not before I finally smashed my controller against the wall several times. Finally, the mission wrapped up with the HP-48 Crocodile helicopter. This thing was brutal, firing missiles and heavy machine guns like the pilot was out for blood. But even that beast was no match for Snake and his trusty gear walker. After some intense firepower exchanges, the helicopter went down and the mission was complete.
Get out of there.
Welcome back, boss. Another successful mission. Great to see you safe, boss. Snake, you stink.
Well, it looks like Snake could seriously use a wash after all those missions. It's safe to say that completing the game with buddies is not only possible, but also an incredibly fun and rewarding experience. If you haven't tried it yet, maybe now's the time to give it a shot. With that said, if you have any challenge suggestions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can make something happen. I want to take a moment to thank you all for watching. Your support truly means everything to me. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I am the Voice Box, wishing you all a wonderful Christmas with your loved ones, so remember to take it easy out there. Until we meet again. See you next time.